The short story The Unexpected, written by Kate Chopin in 1895, is about a young engaged couple who were being separated for a brief absence when the man Randall was going to travel. The trip wasn't going to be for a long time, but an illness delayed the reunion of the newly engaged couple. The illness wouldn't go away, and Dorothea, who was Randall's fiancée, would have hastened to his bedside of her beloved if her parents had permitted. Randall's illness was like a roller coaster that would never stop. But after some time, Randall was allowed to go home for one day, only to leave again. And when he came home to his dearest Dorothea, she didn't recognize the Randall she had said goodbye to. She didn't like him as she did before, and eventually she fled from him to avoid getting married to Randall, even though he would give all of his possessions to her. The narrator in this short story is a third-person, omniscient narrator, which make the story seen from above. As readers, we get the perspective of both Dorothea and Randall, but mostly throughout the story we hear about Dorothea's feelings about Randall, both negative and positive. Then I want to talk about the development of Dorothea's feelings for Randall, because I think it's an important point to come around. Definitely in the first part of this short story, she is deeply, unconditionally in love with him, which can be seen in the following quote. "The parting was bitter. The enforced separation seemed to them too cruel an ordeal to bear. The goodbye dragged with lingering kisses and sighs." Quote end. It's evident to see that both Dorothea and Randall are committed to this relationship and their engagement, and it's also evident to see the strong love that they have between them. But the change of Dorothea's feelings for Randall is really clear when Randall comes home again for this one day, and her impression of him is totally different than it was before he left, which is also clear in this following quote. "This was not the man who had gone away from her, the man she loved and had promised to marry." Quote end. And Dorothea's description of Randall is very precisely and also very negative. For example, she says, his skin was waxy and hectic, his clothing hung loosely upon his wasted frame, his lips she had kissed were now dry and parched, and at least his breath was feverish and tainted. And Dorothea's illusion can be described as young love, which I also think is a theme besides love and literature. And in the beginning it seems a little bit shallow, because she partly only loves Randall for his appearance, but after his absence it's like she has matured and realized that there is more to love than just his appearance. I also think characterization of Dorothea is important to mention and come around, because she obviously has a confused and a little bit of immature role in this short story, but on the other hand, she's also portrayed as an independent woman, a strong woman who follows her heart. I have come around, but on page 2, where Randall says, "If the worst should come, I want you to have all I possess. What fortune I have must be yours, and marriage will make my wish secure." Quote ending. We can see the independent and mature woman she has now become. At the first she was willing to marry him, even though deep down it was only his appearance that was special to her. But now she listens to her heart, and she doesn't even care about the money he offers her, because she exactly follows her heart. I also think that this story is divided into three clear parts, which can be characterized as before Randall's return, after Randall's return, and Dorothea's escape, which I think is important for Dorothea's development. The last part is about her escape. It's a long part with a lot of descriptions, I think. A lot of her feelings are described very precisely, and she's feeling free at the end of the short story because she listened to her heart and had left Randall. And the only way she was looking was forward. Dorothea could have chosen to follow her money instinct, I will say, but she chose to follow her heart, and she wasn't being shallow to initiate a relationship and a marriage with Randall for money or his appearance. But she finds herself through this story, and she figures out what she values about love, and she realizes that Randall really isn't the one for her, which is a brave and good ability to have. And that's also why I will characterize her as a strong, independent woman, because she speaks up to herself, she listens to herself, and she follows her heart, which is a very important thing to do. And I think this short story really just comes around a lot of things, such as this role independent woman. And I also think the theme young love is a really central theme, besides love in literature. And in this story, the couple Randall and Dorothea are a perfect example of this time, the Victorian period, I also think. And I think Dorothea are growing with this story, and she is really letting go of what she thought was her first and big love, because she listens to herself through the story.